Well, first of all, I welcome the Minister to the House, but my welcome finishes there, Minister, because I don't welcome your speech that you made here this evening, and I don't welcome the announcement that was made in the Dáil last week, the half-baked measures which were put in place essentially to buy the election, but it won't work. And Senator Norris asked earlier why was Sinn Féin specifically mentioned and singled out in your contribution here this evening. And it's quite obvious. It's the opinion polls, stupid. And you and your party are worried about Sinn Féin, and you're worried about your seats, and that's why you come into this chamber, attack Sinn Féin's policies, because you cannot stand over your own policies, and that's the reality. The senators on the opposite side of the House, on the government side, are very meek here this evening and are very quiet. They weren't so quiet 12 months ago when we debated the Water Services Bill in this House for 18 hours with Minister Hogan and Minister O'Dowd at the time. And we tabled hundreds of amendments, and each and every one of those amendments were voted down by the government senators. There were amendments made by Senator Barrett, by Féin, by Sinn Féin, and what were those amendments about? Use of PPS numbers, bonuses, consultants, the make-up of the board. And I said at the time to both Minister Hogan and Minister O'Dowd that I was not going to buy a pig in the poke, that we did not know what the water charges was going to be. We were told it was going to be a water charges plan, there would be consultation. You farmed it out to the Commission for Energy Regulation. They came back with their proposals, and you were forced to tear them up and to ditch them because the people of this state rebelled against them. But not one single amendment was accepted by the previous two ministers on this issue. And one of those ministers, Big Phil, was rewarded with a top job in Europe, a salary of €300,000, and is now in charge of the biggest budget in the EU. This is the guy that was responsible for the complete mess that has been made. And I've listened to ministers, including yourself, Minister, and also the Minister for the Environment, Minister Kelly, when he says, "We're sorry." You're not sorry at all. You're only sorry that you got caught out. You're only sorry that the people have come out in their tens of thousands. Hundreds of thousands of people on different occasions have come out onto the streets and said that we have had enough. That's why you're sorry. You're not sorry about any of the policy decisions which you have taken. And you're not listening to people. Because if you were listening to people, you would abolish the charges altogether. Because people do not want to pay a second time for water. Water is a precious resource. It is something that we all need. And there is something fundamentally wrong with a government that says that we are going to give free GP care to everybody. Because that's people's right. People should have free access to GP care. But then we're going to charge you for a precious resource like water. None of your policies stack up at all. Irish water is toxic, Minister. It is dead in the water. And water charges are toxic, and they are dead in the water. And the whole logic of your policy and your government's policy, when the previous two ministers came into this chamber, faced us down here in the opposition when we challenged them on their policies, and the sole rationale for the introduction of Irish water and water charges was water conservation. This was about water conservation. Now we have a situation where the charges are going to be capped up to 2019. The meters which are being installed, which were essentially going to be cash registers outside people's doors, are now going to be rust buckets that will go the same way as the previous government's e-voting machines. You have squandered people's money. You should have used that money to invest in fixing the system, which you should have done in the first place. You squandered people's money with consultants. You're wasting good money after bad, and you still haven't listened. But I can tell you this, Minister. In the streets of Waterford, in your home city and county, people came out onto the streets in Portlaw, in your own town, as you know, in Dungarvan, in Waterford City and in Tramore, in big numbers, unprecedented anti-austerity protests. And they were sending you and your government a clear message that they do not want to pay for water a second time. And for most of them, they simply don't have it to give. Because there are families out there who do not have any spare income. Their pockets have been emptied. And they see the unfairness of your party's policies and the policies of the Labour Party, and they're saying enough is enough. But they will come out again on the 10th of December, and we will see peaceful, family-friendly protests outside Leinster House, where again, in one voice, tens of thousands of people will send your government a message that they don't like Irish water. It has become a monument to the absolute failure of this government, and they don't like your water charges, and they should be scrapped, not capped. And if you don't listen to the people, I will make this prediction. You will not be sitting in your chair in 15 months' time as a minister or a TD. You will have lost your seat, because you will have lost the confidence of the people, as will most of your TDs and your senators from both the Fine Gael and the Labour Party. So listen to the people once and for all. Listen to what people are saying and scrap the water charges, which is what you should do. And I'm glad that the Leader of the House has come in, so hopefully he does respond. And maybe if the Leader of the House wants to have a debate with me outside this chamber, or indeed Minister Coffey, let's have a public debate on this issue. And I look forward to your contribution. I look forward to your. It'll be more anti-Sinn Féin nonsense. More anti-Sinn Féin nonsense, which we will get coming into cover for your minister, which is what you're doing. So I look forward to your contribution.